One thing on that, again, it goes both ways. What you focus on is what you get. If you're focusing on, okay, well, I don't feel consistent, or I don't feel like a good trader, you're going to find stuff and concentrate on stuff that shows that you're not a good trader, even though you are consistent.
What's going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to another episode on the Falcon YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing well. So we're currently in Amsterdam at the moment, and we actually have a meetup tomorrow, our first Amsterdam meetup. And we thought that we'll do something a little bit different, a particular topic that I feel that is actually destroying traders' careers. And if we can get to the root of it, regardless of what strategy you trade, it's going to help you out massively. So we're going to be sharing a few stories today. So joined with me for the very first time all together is the coaches at Falcon. So we've got Jake and Neil.
What's going on, guys?
Hey everyone.
So really excited to have these guys on here, and we're just going to be sharing a few stories into, stories of students that we've spoken to, self-sabotage that happens on a regular basis. How can we get to the root of it, and how can you overcome it with practical steps? Because sometimes you don't realize you're doing it. So first up, Neil, do you want to go with your story first? I know you had a wicked story about a student and students that you've spoken to in the past, right?
Yeah, sure. So for me, the self-sabotage that I've seen before it actually occurred on a couple of coaching calls that I had with some students. And it was these students, they're putting all these processes in place, they're doing all of the right things, and then with no surprise, they're starting to see very good results. And they're seeing this, and then they kind of just get a bit ahead of themselves. And it goes to their head, and they think, oh, well, I've cracked it now. I've become consistent, I've become profitable. The hard work is done, and from here on out it's just a smooth sailing into the distance. But they stop doing all of the things that got them to that point, that got them successful, and then lo and behold, no surprise there, the results just tail off, and then they go back into the break-even dance, back into negative. And it's that self-sabotage of just assuming that you've cracked it straight away. And I know it's the same for you guys. I know for myself as well, there's things that I do now, even though I'm a consistently profitable trader, that I did from the very beginning. And it's like things like the backtesting, forecasting, the 3-step process. I still do them things now, even though perhaps you don't need to do it as much as what you did earlier on. But it's what got me to that point that I'm at now. So why change it if it's not broken? So, and for the students that I've been coaching as well, it's they don't quite have that ingrained in them yet, so they get that success and then they think, I've got it now, and then they switch off all the hard work that they've been doing.
Yeah, so almost like the ego, right, at that point, like you said, oh, I know it all now, right? Yeah. The ego is almost the root of which starts the self-sabotage, right? Because it's the moment when you say, right, I know everything, I know my stuff now, is when it goes the other way, right? Yeah. So almost realizing that if you can be self-aware enough to realize your ego's involved, that's the first stage. Would you say that's the best way that you would tackle it?
Yeah, I just think the industry that we work in is with Forex is constantly changing. It's like a completely fluid and dynamic business that we're in. So to think that you've got it now, you might have it now for this month, but the next month is going to be different. So you need to adapt and adjust your strategy and your approach to it so that you're constantly evolving with the market. And just assuming that you know it all, that ego, is it's a very surefire way to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Even the way you're trading, your style's definitely progressed over the last 12 months.
100%.
And all that happens is just evolving with the market. What worked a year ago may not work now, or you can tweak stuff to make it like big improvements to your trading.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you're just kind of stuck in this mindset that, oh, this is how I do it, this is how I need to do it, because your ego's involved. And you're not willing to be open and change and do these things. Even just from, when you started, at the beginning stages, right? How long have you been trading now altogether?
About 3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years. And even since then, you still haven't been a know-it-all. Why would you be doing the 3-step process? Why would you be doing that? So it's like, it goes back to having this open mind. The more open-minded that you are about trading, naturally, you're just going to become better and better. I think that's the most important thing. What about yourself, Jake? You've spoken to a few people that I'm sure have indulged in it?
I've talked to a few people. So a story that stands out for me is there was a guy I met probably about 2 months ago. So he's a builder. His job is very physical. He works very hard, obviously manual labor, and his trading was getting to a point where he was doing well consistently, but then he wouldn't get any better. And what I found was talking through him, asking him a few questions, was that he was sabotaging himself because he thought, okay, well, my trading's doing well, but I don't feel like I'm working very hard. My physical job, I'm working very hard to earn my money. My belief is I have to work hard for money. And what happened with his trading was because he's not working hard in terms of physical labor, he'd do well, say he'd get to 6-7%, and then he'd be like, okay, crap, I'm earning more than my job. I need to give back some to the market, and then take some crappy trades, and then go back to kind of 2-3% to make him feel comfortable. So happens like so often. So
yeah, they don't realize, and it's too late at that point, right? Yeah. So
and it's their mindset is they think that, okay, well, I'm going to go down the technical route. I'm going to improve my technicals. I'm going to improve this, and that's going to help sort me out. But a lot of this comes down to psychology, and they have the skill to trade very well. If you get to 7%, you must be doing something right. But it's about holding on to that 7% and obviously furthering from that.
So do you think that just comes from childhood? Maybe, money's evil, all those kind of beliefs?
Well, as like his belief was that I have to work hard for my money. So, and trading, we're still working very hard, just maybe not in a physical way, but mentally you have to be switched on all the time. You still have to go through that hard work, the processes. I would say it's more hard work than a normal job.
Yeah, and then they can't relate the two because they're not physically, picking something up or doing something like that.
You're not tired or sweating by the end of the day that it's not physical work.
Yeah, and especially when they start to see the actual real results. When, say for example, they make, a couple of £1,000 a month at their job, and then they see 2,500 that month in trading, it's like, oh my God, what's happened now? Let's find a way to get rid of it. So self-sabotage, I think, is one of the biggest things. We've seen it with so many people, and there's so many successful, talented traders out there. They find a way to give it back, and it reminds me of the story. This is not just one person, but I'll give you an example. So it's quite common from people that I've spoken to where they'll have, let's say, 5-6% per month. They'll do that for 6-7 months, and you don't do that by fluke. There's a process to that, and they'll get to a point where they start to have this doubt. Right? They'll start saying to themselves like, oh, I'm not too sure. Am I doing the right thing? And then these are people that are consistent. They've already got the consistent months. And you think, why is this person, why are they doubting themselves? And they do it. It astounds me. And it comes back to things like not practicing self-worth. If you don't believe that you're worthy, if you don't actually feel like you're successful, or you don't believe you deserve it and things like that, it will just go back to when you as a child, all these things. And you'll think, well, I'm not going to be successful. Who am I? And this inner voice starts creeping in. And, before you know it, you start having some bad results. You then look back and you're like, see, I knew it. It was a bit of a fluke. So you find a way to justify that because of this inner belief. And then guess what? They'll look back and say, oh, in the last 3 months, I stuck to my plan, 40% of the time, for example. Then you'll realize, so why did you do that? They don't really have an answer for it. I'm sure you guys have spoken to people. They literally don't have an answer for that. And then what happens? They just realize, I need to learn something new now, or I need to add something in to get back to where I was, when really and truly, they was already doing the thing they needed to do in the first place. They just indulged in the self-sabotage. So the best way in that kind of scenario, start asking good questions, start practicing self-worth, whether that be through positive affirmation, actually start feeling successful, surround yourself with successful people. Manage your inner dialogue. You guys, I'm sure you've done that as well, right? Yeah. You've had doubts and then overcome that. How have you kind of dealt with that?
One thing on that, again, it goes both ways. What you focus on is what you get. If you're focusing on, okay, well, I don't feel consistent, or I don't feel like a good trader, you're going to find stuff and concentrate on stuff that shows you you're not a good trader, even though you are consistent. So again, it's just that mindset's so important, and it's so easy to trip yourself up on. And that's why for me, I find the processes of ASI every weekend, go over my trades, my processes. Have I followed it to the T? Have I followed my plan? If I haven't, go back over and be like, okay, what have I done wrong? What do I need to improve on? Have I had maybe some late nights or maybe some stress in my life that's popped up? I need to obviously deal with that and make sure my trading doesn't suffer.
So no, that's a really good point. I'm just thinking right now, what if students don't know that they're doing self-sabotage? What would you think? What would be good questions or something they can do? Because some people don't even realize they're doing it, or they're in the stage of doing it, right?
The best thing for me is, if you're, and this may be for you guys as well, but if you're someone that is taking good trades and maybe at the end of the month, they're just taking a whole bunch of crap trades and they're thinking, okay, why am I doing that? That's a very key sign that you're sabotaging yourself. But again, it comes back down to, as you said before, your trading plan. Always come from a structured point of view. Relate everything back to your trading plan. Okay, this week I followed 80% of the time. The final 3 weeks of the month, okay, it was 20%. No wonder your results are obviously not great. So it comes down to, okay, refer everything back to your trading plan. How well did I follow it? And how well, again, did your processes go? How do you feel?
Yeah, that's something that I actually find that quite frequently on coaching calls as well, with students, where they'll start the month off very hot, they get a bunch of good results under their belt and they're sitting very well for the month, and then that sort of self-sabotage, that negative talk comes back in. By the end of the month, they give it all back to the market. And often what we do on the call when we break it down is, it's like, did you stick to your plan? It's like, yes in the beginning, but no at the end. It's actually a relatively simple tweak to make, to really just, adhere to your own plan. That's why we probably sound like broken records, because it's all we talk about. Just keep repeating, like, have a plan, stick to it. Have a plan, stick to it. But we say it for good reason.
Oh, 100%. I think you got to enjoy it as well, right?
Yeah, so even thinking long term as in quarter to quarter, like I saw someone the other day, they were halfway through the month and they said, oh, I'm going to have a down month this month.
Yes.
They were down a couple percent, and it's like they've already written off the rest of the month. And that to me, I obviously understand where they're coming from. But again, if you're saying to yourself, I'm going to be down for the month, of course you're going to be down. You're going to attract those bad trades and not be thinking from actually a neutral point of view. So always be thinking quarter to quarter, because you may have 2%, and 20%. If you average that out, you're doing very, very well. But even if you start the month with maybe 2 losses, if you feel like you have to trade out of that hole, you're going to take a whole bunch of trades that maybe aren't there. You're going to be forcing stuff. So if you're thinking long term, okay, well, I'm down 2%, but I have 10 more weeks of the quarter left, it's going to be that macro view is so important.
Oh, 100%. Quarter to quarter is probably the biggest thing that's changed my trading from years and years and years. And I get it. I understand. You want to look at your monthly. You want to say, oh, how did you get on for the month? Or how did you get on for the week? You want to judge yourself, all of these little micro things that don't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. And when you think about it, if you're a new trader and you're taking some losing trades and things like that, and I'm down 10% for the month or something like that, it's not even that you're down 10%. Like, you're in a testing stage. I don't even think you can even class that as performance at this stage. You're so early on in your journey, or early on in learning your new strategy, regardless of what strategy you're trading, you don't even know what you're doing. So how can you expect to have any level of consistency? So you need to see every loss that you take, right, as a testing to figure out, right, was that actually a good trade that I should take again? And it was just probabilities, it was just a loss? Or is this just a terrible trade that doesn't even fit the strategy, right? You need to focus on that. Would you guys agree with that?
I think people are so willing to go to university for 3-4 years, to spend 3-4 years learning and then going out into the real world to get a job and actually start, let's say, reaping the rewards of their hard work. But somehow that doesn't apply to trading, and they think after 6 weeks I should have it by now and I should be, making that money. So, but at the end of the day, it's an attitude that is quite prevalent in this industry. But I think if you have the right people around you, the right positive messages being said around you, the right community, then it's very easy to overcome that.
And this is why, guys, this is why we're so big on treat it like a business. We say it for a reason. Just like you said, for some reason, it doesn't seem to apply to trading. Why is that? Why is it suddenly that when it comes to trading, it just doesn't apply? You've got to think about that, right? If you started a business and in the first week it didn't go well, would you say I've had a bad week? If you spoke to a businessman, they'd say, what are you on about? At least allow a year to play out. And most businesses that don't profit in the first year think, why is it that these old things don't actually apply to trading? And it's because of what you're looking at. You're looking at the profits. You're looking at this constant stuff that actually doesn't matter in the earlier stages. If you focus on the processes, and like you guys said, surround yourself with good people, you'll realize from a business professional standpoint, you don't even need to focus on any of that. Put the work in, be patient, and be persistent. So I was talking about this on another video, but persistence is underrated so much. It's normally the one that's just a little bit more persistent are the ones that succeed. Guys, anything to sort of finish off on that?
I was going to say one thing as well. It comes back to, again, if you're thinking week to week, I have to make this money this week or this money this month, they're going to be active in the markets. Again, it's normal for months to be fairly slow or weeks to be slow.
100%.
But if you have that mindset saying I have to pull 5%, you're going to be forcing stuff. So it comes down to they need to be in the market because they have this belief that they need to pull 5% or 10%. And it all comes back to that psychology. So it's so important to get on top of that, follow your plan, trade what's in front of you, because when it's slow, yes, take a step back, but also be ready for when the market does pick up. And I see it all the time, and you guys probably see it as well, where people apply the same pressure in slow markets as they do in impulsive markets. They'll do well in impulsive markets because their skill is obviously good, but they'll give back a whole chunk of it in slow markets. They just don't know when to step back and know that the best trade is actually sitting on the sidelines and waiting for structure.
One of the traits of being a good trader is knowing when to not be in the markets, when not to trade. Just as much, if not more important, than when to actually, like you say, put your foot down.
Because I'm happy having like a whole week and not placing trade, but then the next week I could have 4 in 2 days. Yeah. And it's just what the market gives me. So
yeah, trading isn't linear, so it comes and goes whenever it wants. But for myself, what I found is that I don't even measure myself by percentage returns. I measure myself against how well I stick to my trading plan. Because I know that plan works over the longer term. And the market might be different one week to the other or 1 month to the other. You never know. So to measure percentage returns and say, oh, well, I had a better month than this one because I got 1% more, I find that a little bit abstract. So for me, one thing that is constant is how well I stick to my plan, because I know that if I stick to that plan to the best of my abilities, the results will be a byproduct of that. And you can still stick to your plan 100% and not have a positive result.
Exactly.
You can still end the month in negative. I had that for myself earlier this year. Stuck to my plan, it was over 90% and I ended the month in the red. But it's 1 month, it makes no difference. Like, if you plan on doing this for the next 10, 20, 30 years, 1 month makes absolutely no difference. But sticking to that plan and forming them positive habits will pay dividends over the longer term.
And that's a key point where you may have a down month or a break-even month, but because your plan, you know, it works well over a large sample size, you're not going to start changing stuff up or adding stuff in because of 1 month. So
100%. And you know, like you said, you're almost detaching yourself away from the emotion of that. You're not focusing on the percentage every month, you're focusing on the process, and then you know the plan as a side effect, you'll get the percentage anyway. So again, it's just it's kind of a backwards way, that's how people would see it. But really and truly, you're not then focused on the micro of, oh, I'm only up 4% this week, or you feel like you need to deviate or add something in or do something different. So I'm sure that you've gathered, guys and girls, from the episode, process is key. Surrounding yourself with the right people is key. And if you feel like you're indulging in self-sabotage, please let us know. You might have had an experience. Let us know, and of course we can always create another video, help you out and things like that. But again, at least if this video can give you a bit of self-awareness to maybe even reflect, right? Because how many people don't realize they're doing it? Just to ask the questions. You know, how's my last 3 months been? How much have I stuck to my plan, percentage terms? Have I stuck to my plan 40%, 50% for the month? And if it has gone down, then is there something going on in my life right now? Or is there any limiting beliefs that I need to break through? Just start asking good questions, and I promise you'll thank yourself for it. But guys and girls, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Jake, Neil, absolute pleasure to have you on for the first time. I'm sure you enjoyed it as well. And yeah, we've got the meetup tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely epic. Like I said before, we've got people flying in from different parts of the world. So it's going to be awesome to hear their stories, as we always get a surprise if someone's quit their job or something like that. So it's going to be pretty good. Guys and girls, have an incredible weekend, and I will speak to you all soon.